the start of every single video has me fiddling with the air conditioner. Every single one without fail.
Oh, it's busy here.
I noticed that when I was coming in. I just pulled up just to check where I was, and countless cars kept coming in.
Yeah.
For a private road, it's very busy.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna get gates actually.
Are you?
Yeah, we're gonna get gates. There are sometimes
Do people work here, or do they...
some carers because it's a very
I
old
see.
block. We have some old. If you want to drive down here, that's really nice. It's tennis.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You can have a look at the tennis.
Oh nice. We can stop and have a little rally.
A little rally, no, not yet, but yeah. So this is a kind of an older block. A lot of older people there.
Oh, this is literally
That's
the tennis.
the tennis, yeah.
Literally next door.
Literally, this is the main entrance, the Altic Tennis Club, and this is where they're building now a lift.
Okay.
If you look at it, shame you can't see the sign now, but this is behind these big thing. It says Altic Tennis Club.
Okay.
Here is the main entrance, lawn tennis club, and this is the practice. They have the practice buildings built now. Court number 3, and in the back there, of course, court number 1 and 2. That's it. I've been various times.
You've been, so you like tennis, do you?
I love to watch tennis, and it's really, and a lot of tennis players actually live in my building.
Really?
Yeah, because it's very, I mean, because we don't have many hotels, and the hotels get booked up. We have the Canizaro, some in the village, so there's a lot of private rentals around here,
right? Where
you then go, and and ours is so easy because you walk. A lot of officials, Billie Jean King always lives right in our block.
Really?
For example, yeah, I've met her a few times, and the tennis club. You want to go up? That's the village. The tennis club itself actually is really good to us as neighbors.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of, one-way systems, a lot of road blockages, noise, and all of that. But we get a lot of good perks. So last year I got the final men tickets.
Did you?
And then I could purchase as well the semi-final men's. So I really get a good, really good.
Extra benefits for living there.
Exactly.
So if you lived higher, you might be able to see.
You can see, my apartment faces the green, the garden, if you like.
Yep.
But the other side faces the London, and they can overlook the tennis. But I didn't actually want that. It wasn't the view I was going for. So I can, they can, but they can't watch the tennis game, but they can see the grounds. Yeah.
So finally, I've got you in my car.
I know.
It's taken 3 years.
Not quite.
Well, it was, yeah, because when I came up with this concept, you were actually the first person I contacted.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know why either, but that's okay.
I don't know why. I just thought, who's going to be a good character in the car? I know.
Oh,
I know, Carmen and her coat.
Well, look at this. We're very early this morning, so you could think I would be crazy enough to make that. 4:30
I had to wake up to get here today for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, bonkers.
Exciting. Why not?
It's going to get light, hopefully, while we're driving.
It's getting lighter. As you see, it's now 7:30 in the morning.
It is, yeah. So, I've got a question.
Go on.
Did you call yourself Carmen? I know your name's Carmen. Because no one could pronounce your surname correctly.
That's right.
Is it seriously that's the only reason?
It's seriously the only reason, yes. Because, so it was, I danced with Sandro Cavallini, and then everybody always pronounced it was also with my German partner, but that was the first time when everybody kind of thought, oh, it was Vincelj, Vincella, 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 Vincelli, all sorts of different pronunciations of my surname. And then when I got with Alan, it kind of carried on, and he thought that it was actually his idea. He thought it was such a cool idea because Carmen was sort of a very self-explanatory name. We didn't need a surname, and he said, it's like, Lorraine, we're gonna just have Carmen.
Right.
And I kind of liked it. And I thought, yeah, why not? And it was life easier, even trying to explain always, no, it's Vincelj, the J is silent and the C is not, and it's not Italian, it's Croatian. So yeah, that's how it started actually.
Okay, so it wasn't anything about being, well, I'm going to be just Carmen.
No.
Because that's all, I only need a first name.
No, it wasn't, and it wasn't actually my idea. Yeah, no, it wasn't my idea. It was actually Alan's idea.
Oh, okay.
Credit that to Alan, yeah.
Okay. Creative genius of Alan.
Creative genius, for sure.
Yeah. So your career actually, so I only know of you from Sandro Cavallini.
Right.
From then onwards.
Okay.
That's my memory.
Okay.
So I'm sure you danced with people before that as well.
Right, yeah.
Every single man you've danced with that I'm aware of has battered for the other team. Was that Was that a choice? Did you say,
No.
right, I'm gonna target men that won't touch me?
Do you know, it's funny, it wasn't a conscious choice, but so I started dancing when I was 17 years old, and I stumbled across...
You didn't start till you were 17?
No, and I didn't start it, I was 17. And I stumbled across dancing as a... Yeah, it was by accident, if you like. So I was... my mother is Catholic, and I had to go to Sunday Mass every weekend.
Yeah.
And then sort of a group of the people there, they formed sort of a jazz dance group I started to join.
Right.
And then the leader of that, she wanted to go to this local dance club called Schwarz-Weiß Club Pforzheim, who is famous for the...
Say that again?
Schwarz-Weiß Club Pforzheim.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
where they have the Goldstadt-Pokal every year. It's a famous competition in the IDSF at the time.
Right.
And she wanted to go, and her brother wanted to go, but she didn't want to dance with her brother. So she then asked me if I wanted to join with her brother.
Right.
So that's how I started dancing with 17. And then it was kind of, because you're in that age, it was sort of, we were beginners. And they, you know, I had in 1 year 8 partners.
Wow.
Because they all didn't want to really dance with me. They wanted to date, kind of thing.
I see,
so we go out and like, no, I want to do the cha-cha. You don't understand. We're going to have to practice. And they go, oh, can we not skip? Can we not go to the cinema? So that's kind of it started. And my first partner then, sort of where I had more success in Germany, I became German A-class champion. We dated.
Right.
So we were then a couple and we danced. And we dated before we started to dance together. And that went terribly wrong when we separated, all of that.
Yeah.
And then after that, I only, it wasn't a conscious choice, but that's how it went, and it was lovely. I could not have asked for anything better, really, because all the 3 men after that, Sandro, Alan, and of course Brian, unique and great dancers, and so creative, and so it was just a lovely energy to be around. And I think it's, at that time, maybe it was a lot more common. Nowadays, I think there's not so many maybe homosexual dancers
There's
anymore.
not, are there?
No, I don't think there is.
Well, not necessarily.
In my time, in the 90s, sort of when it all happened.
All the guys were, weren't they?
In the Latin, for sure, yeah.
Well, some of the ballroom as well, but we just...
we didn't know about it.
They just hid it.
So that was the story here, yeah.
Well, that's quite interesting. So do you think then perhaps you were, without realising it, scarred a little bit by heterosexual dancers in your first year of dancing? All they wanted to do was do other things other than dance.
It was problematic in the dancing, and I was very geared. Because I started so late, and my teachers actually weren't very hopeful for me. They were saying,
apparently, I've heard they're still not.
Yes.
They're still not.
Because they were like, they said, oh, you know, because we had to do 10 dance. When you start in German, you have to do 10 dance. You don't specialize. And then I did ballroom and Latin. And they were going, oh, yeah, you're talented, but you just won't make it. You're just too old. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do? I just keep going because I loved it. It was like you found a calling, and I wasn't going to give it up. So I kept going with it. And it became problematic with this kind of having this added thing about stopping me kind of pursuing what I really wanted, because there was always this atmosphere between you, especially with the partner where I was dating him. And it wasn't my choice, as I said, but it kind of came that way, and it was lovely. I just really, I'm happy for that. It was like that for me.
Yeah. That is a really late age to start dancing and be as successful as you have been.
Yeah.
Because many people start late, of course, but they don't necessarily go on to anything of any note. But how many world titles? 8?
9.
9,
Nine world titles. Actually, I have 10.
Oh.
Yeah, and 9 with Brian, 9 professional Latin world titles, and I was a show dance professional champion, world champion with Alan Tornsberg in 97.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you turned pro quite young as well then,
I
didn't you?
turned pro quite young because Sandra and I, we danced together. So Espen and my German teacher, Harry Körner, he put us together. Came for a tryout, and that was for the first time where I was this girl from Pforzheim. Pforzheim was a very small town. At the time, maybe 100,000 inhabitants. So it was like very small. So I was prim and proper, you know. I had my little black skirt, my white top, and a little crunchy at the time. And there came Espen and Sandro coming. I mean, they looked like kind of, I don't know where they came from. You know, like Sandro came with a bandana and a long hair, and he was tanned, and Espen had black hair. And so I was like, oh my goodness, who are these people? Sorry.
Yeah.
And So that was the awakening of that craziness where I got into fashion, all of that, because before that it was just not in my surroundings, if you like. So that was really fun, I think. What was the question actually?
What was the question?
Yeah, I
can't
forgot.
remember.
Me
You got
too.
all excited.
I know.
I said that you was quite late to start and be successful,
that's right, and it was just, I just feel they gave me a chance, and I was really hardworking.
Oh no, you were turning pro. I said you turned pro quite young.
That's right. Yeah. I danced with Sandro, and then we had a huge fight. We were living together, and we had a huge fight, and he then split.
Right.
And
was it quite a dramatic storm out?
Oh yes,
door
dramatic.
slamming and everything.
He wouldn't. I think he split with me actually shopping in Sainsbury's, something odd like that.
Okay.
He was like, really? And we used to live together, and he wouldn't talk to me for 3 or 4 days in the flat. We would pass each other, and he would kind of flank me. Was like, oh really?
Yeah.
Anyway, so it was going like that, and Alan had asked, and I had said no already to him once, and then I spoke to Espen, and I said, I don't know what's going on. Sandro is not talking to me. We are not doing anything. And then Alan asked again, and so on and so on. And then I said to Sandro, I think we've got to go, because this is not going anywhere. It's like, I don't want to dance like this where we can't even talk to each other. And we split for one day and another day not.
Yeah.
And and then Alan and I agreed, and we didn't even have a tryout.
Really?
We just agreed. We met, and he could check the height. And then on the same day, I danced my last German championship with Sandro, and he danced his last, I think it was a Danish championship with Wimbledon professional. And then I flew the next day to Denmark. We sat together, I will never forget, we sat together, actually in the bedroom, it was funny. We sat together, and he goes, what are we gonna do if it doesn't work? And I said, well, it's too late now, we're gonna have to make it work. It's like, we just have to go.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a surreal thing, because Alan was sort of, Alan Wiebeke as such, were one of my idols. So suddenly you're sitting there gonna dance with your idol. That was a little kind of bizarre, if you know what I mean.
That's quite interesting, isn't it, that you saw of them as your, like, they weren't your competitors at the time, I guess.
No,
you were
they were
amateur, weren't
ahead,
you? So
but I remember when they danced, I mean, I wasn't allowed to go to London because I wasn't good enough. My teacher said, you're not good enough yet. So I had to wait. Blackpool was the first year, and I had only danced one international with my German partner. So I only saw the videos.
Oh, this is before Sandro?
This is before Sandro. So I remember them from dancing on videos coming down the stairs, dancing the rumba on the stairs, and I was like, oh my God, you just, it was crazy. So that was really surreal and amazing, if you like. So, and that's why I turned professional, not because it was it came organically, because we had this separation, and then I had this offer and I took it.
Well, that's quite a lovely little story, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get to dance with your idol.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been worse if he'd been straight, I suppose.
I don't know. Wasn't in the cards.
No, obviously not.
No.
No. And so you were with Alan, what, 4 years?
No, 2.5.
2 years, 2.5 years. So it didn't work then?
No, it didn't work. No, my partner, my track record before Brian was the 2 year itch. 2 years, 2.5 years, and then it was over.
Right.
That was with Sandra the same, and with Alan the same.
Do you do the same with cars after 2 years? Then
no, actually,
I tried.
Yeah, with men. No, I'm joking. So no, so there was that, and Alan and I, it was a difficult dynamics at the time with us, because he came, of course, in as my idol, let's say. I was that little snotty amateur.
Yep.
But you know me, I'm not gonna, I was sort of a bit feisty already.
I can imagine.
So I was no, I don't want to do that. And it was like, well, I'm telling you to do that. No. So this dynamics wasn't like that. It was difficult, and we had a lot of rough edges where we kind of butt heads together all the time. And it came to a point where Alan actually made a decision, said, this ain't working, we're gonna have to split. And I was actually sad, because I enjoyed dancing with him. It was so new for me, everything, and it was exciting. Because 1 year I had the hair like that, and I had the hair like that. So there was like a morphosis for me, a kind of a development. But I could definitely, when we split, I could see that it wasn't right. And then actually, I don't know if you know that, I had a tryout with Hans Gatke.
Did you really?
Yes. So Hans and Hans was another idol of mine. I mean, Hans was Hans and Bianca. they were, I mean, I'm German, they were the king and queen of Germany.
Yep.
They were my absolute idols. And we got close because Lena and Colin were my teachers, and they were also Hans and Bianca's teachers. And we there was New Year parties together, and of course I knew them from training camps in Germany and all of that. So we were kind of friends. And they did the Worlds, they won the Worlds in '97, they retired. And then he was not quite sort of maybe completely finished yet. And sort of him and Lena instigated that would be a good one now. That would be a good one, we should try that.
Right.
And of course
so
I was...
You were still with Alan, or just...
No, we had
finished?
split.
Right,
We had split. I didn't have a tryout whilst being with Alan. We had split. And so we went for a tryout, and it was really funny because of course it's one thing on paper.
Yeah.
And then we stood in front of each other, and he just said, "Wow, you're big."
Yeah, I was going to say that. He's a little fella, isn't he?
Yeah, but no, but also I think it was the length of the arms, the length of the legs, and height-wise. I mean, he's taller than me, but when I put my heels on, we were sort of even. But it was like he said, "Can you make yourself smaller?" And I was like, "Well, try." And then it's like, "Can you go lower?" And I was like so grounded, and Lena was like, "You've never been so grounded. It's so exciting." I said, "Yeah, I don't think I can go any deeper though." So he said, "No, it's too much for me." He said, "I can't handle that." And also I think he might have done it, but he only was looking into another year or two of dancing.
Right.
And that wasn't quite for me.
You were only 21, weren't you, at the time?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it was something like this. I think I was coming up to 27, 26.
Oh, right, okay.
I started with Brian when I was 27. So it wasn't right. I wanted a long term, or something I could build on for a longer time. If I knew I was going to go in for 2 years, I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. So we left that. And I got an offer from Marc Barbieri. Do you remember Marc Barbieri?
I do know. Yeah, I do remember him.
France. That's the only one, another guy, but I'm not going to out it. The only other guy who called me.
Really?
Yeah.
If I'd have known, Joe, if I'd have known, I'd have picked up the phone, and because your limbs would have been perfect for ball.
Right, that's right. I could have got a swing there. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so Brian and I got together then because it's sort of, we were really friends, Brian. Brian and Karen were traveling, of course, dancing together and traveling, and Alan and I, and we often used to meet in Japan and have drinks or breakfast together, and Brian and I were often going shopping together. So we formed sort of a bond, a kind of a friendship already. And we weren't talking about separating or dancing together ever. So I was sitting there, and then Lena, she was my friend of course as well, and she said, you know, so who you really want to dance with? And I said, well, the person I really like would be Brian. I really like him as a person. I think I could see myself working with it, but he was saying something. They were in Japan, but he was saying something. So I said, why don't you just call him and find out what the deal is with him and Karen? Just find out. So I said, yeah, you're right. So as you do, everybody at that time used to stay in the Metropolitan Hotel in Tokyo. So I called the Metropolitan. Oh yes, Mr. Brian Watson is here. I put you through. So I called Brian, and I then say, you know, can you believe, actually at that time Donnie and Gaynor had split as well, same year.
Right, okay.
So I said, can you believe it? We were gossiping a little while, you know. And I said, can you believe it? And he goes, no. I said, yeah. And I said, can you believe it? Alan and I have split too. He goes, no. So I said, I just wanted, you know, to hear where you are with everything. And of course I get that, and I don't want to interfere anything, but I had heard a little bit from the studio, and he said, it's funny you say, we just had dinner that night, and Karen had told me that she would like to retire. So we didn't do anything behind anybody's back type of thing. So I was like, well, that's fate then, right?
The universe was conspiring to get you two together, wasn't it?
Exactly. And then I said, okay, great. When are you coming back? He said, oh, I'm going to the Mardi Gras in Australia, blah, blah. I said, in a month's time. I said, okay, text me when you're, or call me. Didn't have telephones that much at that time. So call me when you're back. We're going to have tryouts. He wanted to have a tryout. He's not going to commit to anything.
Right.
Okay, good. So the day he was meant to arrive back, nothing. No phone call, no nothing. So I call him, and I leave a message on his voice message, and I said, Brian, I think you're back. Now, I understand you don't have the tryout, but you know, I got to know, because I waited now a month. I got to move on, you know. So, 5 minutes later, the telephone rings, and at that time we had fax machines.
Right.
And a 3-page fax comes through from Brian.
Right.
With questions. It's a questionnaire, and I still have that to this day.
Really?
Yes. And then he calls me, 2 minutes later, and he calls me and said, Carmen, I said, oh, hi, did you receive my fax? I said, oh, yes. Yeah, I thought I sent you this questionnaire. What about we having dinner tomorrow night and we're going through these questions and see what you think about these scenarios and type of things? That good. So we had dinner, and we went through the questions, and we could see there was sort of compatibility in thinking and what your vision was and all of that. We went to try, and it was terrible. We just couldn't dance together. It was like, the height was good and all that. We were standing there, and he was touching me. He was like, what are you doing? I said, I don't know, but I don't know what you are doing. It's not good either, you know? Yeah. So we were standing there, and it's like, okay, let's do some side-by-sides, and and we realized that our bodies really looked good together. We just couldn't, we came from sort of slightly different backgrounds and all of that, so it just wasn't gelling. So we knew it was difficult. And after 5 days of tryout, I said to Brian, what we're gonna do? I think we should try one more day. I said, I think the trying is over. I said, I can't promise you anything. I can only promise you I'm gonna work hard. I think it's gonna be difficult. As you can see, we can't make the dancing work yet as such, but I think it looks good. So I think we should give it a go. And he was really nervous, like, you know, if I commit, I said, that's what I'm hoping. And he said, okay, let's do it. And that's when we did it. And then we danced Blackpool 7 weeks later.
Right. Second, maybe?
We were, no, third.
Third.
I think Paul and Karina were second that year.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad though,
no.
It's not bad.
That's the story. It was a long story, but I thought that was a bit of a...
you've got time. This is what this is for. This is not a short little 5-minute interview. Yeah. I want you to just talk about everything.
Yeah. So that was how Brian and I got together.
So interesting that he sent you through a questionnaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lucky you were able to fill it in.
Yeah, lucky I was enough, you know.
Intelligent enough. Yeah, clearly. But clearly your ruthless German efficiency was the minute he got home. Where's your phone call?
Yeah, I think that was very good that he did that, because I think nowadays couples just get together and they don't because, you know, we were together more than he was together with Hans, for example.
Right.
We just wouldn't share a room together in the end of the day, but we would be traveling together. We would have lessons together. We would be practicing together. We would be teaching together. We're doing the shows together. We have highs and lows. You experience so much, and you gotta get on with that person. And we were still fighting like cat and dog often, but we really had a really strong friendship, and we liked each other, and we wanted to make it work with each other. So that was a good foundation, you know. And we were at the end of our career, so to say. It's not gonna like we have 10 more partners in us. We were both finalists at the time, so it's kind of towards the end of what we want to do. So we better do it with someone we really like and have a vision with, and we can make it.
Do you not think though that having a little bit of bite about it spurs you on to do better anyway? Because if it's all a bit too easy, sometimes you can get a bit complacent. And if you've got that little bit of an edge where you're fighting a little bit, because that shows you've still got desire and hunger to be successful. I
think we were both very bitey, because we are actually both very competitive. And I'm sure Brian would vouch for that too. Had we met just 5 years earlier, we wouldn't have survived.
Right.
Because we were, I mean, I don't know if that's user friendly, but I was a bitch. I was tough. I would be
honestly.
I was as tough to him than he was to himself and to myself. He was tough to me. So we were very driven, and we were very competitive and very opinionated. Both of us had had opinions. We would be fighting for our corners. But what I'm trying to say, the underlying current was, we want to make it work together, and we are in a team together, and we believe in this, and we're going to make it happen. And not just, oh well, no, I didn't have, like, it was not like scoring points. It was like we were really trying to, I think we liked each other.
Do you think that many couples today then just give up too easily, or give in too easily?
I think it's
just too difficult, I'll get someone else?
Yeah, I think there has been that for me in a while. I think it's a bit better right now, maybe through COVID as well. Some people got a few more difficulties, or maybe put more together, and we had to make it work. I don't know, but certainly I think it's more of a, oh well, the success didn't come so quickly, well then maybe we better leave type of thing. So, or it's too hard work, or it's too hard that.
Yeah. So. Were there times when you thought, this isn't going to work, we're just going to have to
with Brian
quit it? Yeah.
Never.
No.
Never. We were fighting. It wasn't nice sometimes, but and sometimes it was tough as well, you know, when you go to the world and the pressures and all of that. But no, never. Not for me anyway.
Yeah.
Don't know about Brian. That would be worth a question.
Well, I can't have him in the car straight after you. Maybe I'll have to give it a little while.
Exactly.
Yeah, a little while. I'll get him in the car at some point, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, one of the best memories I've got actually of my dancing career is your last comp actually.
In Blackpool.
The British, at Blackpool. I've never seen, and I don't think we'll ever see it again, perhaps, but a standing ovation during a dance.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You probably don't remember, do you?
No.
I think we might have discussed it before, perhaps, but yeah, I think you said you've got very little memory of that event.
Yeah,
that final at all.
Retirement is a really difficult decision.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian wanted to retire earlier than me.
Right.
So we had this conversation, of course, with Peter Maxwell. He was our teacher, and we were talking, and he was ready, and I was in panic.
Mm-hmm.
There was sort of 2 years prior we actually retired.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I retire now. I just wasn't ready. I didn't feel, I mean, my career was very short. I started dancing with 17, retired at 34.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a kind of a 17 years
you
only.
crammed an awful lot into 17 years, didn't you?
Yes, and therefore it was sort of, oh, what am I gonna do? Sorry, I touched the microphone. Is it working? So yeah, okay. So I was a bit uneasy and in panic, and he said, well, I don't mind waiting for you or giving you time, but I need to know an end game. I'm at that stage now where he's been dancing since he's 5 years old.
Yeah.
He said, I do not want to dance till I'm over 40.
Right.
So he's like 3 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
I turned be that August, so May I was 34, he was 38, and he said, I don't want to be 40 and dance. So we need to find a date where I don't mind in working for it, I'm going to be in it and do my best, but I need to know this. And then we looked and we discussed with Maxwell, and he then said, well, in old days, because we said, okay, the team match, so we didn't have a team, you know, because Germany never had, we danced one team match in the British, really. And then he said, well, he said, actually, in the old days, the champion always retired at the comp. You don't retire at the teams match.
Right.
So he said, I really think you should be dancing the comp and not looking for a team match. And then we looked sort of, and then it happened that the Worlds in 2007 was in April, and the next Worlds in 2008 was going to be something like November. So it was another 16 months, so it was like a long time. So we thought, actually, that sounds pretty perfect. We do the last Worlds in April, we do the British, and then it's done, because it was going to be too long of a stretch, and I could see that. And then once we decided that was really nice, and I was finished, and it was good. But to retire at the competition is tough. So you come in, you come in. Actually, it's a funny story. Can I share this story with you?
You can tell me whatever you like.
So,
please do. Please share.
It is a funny story, and I'm so happy I didn't do it. So we know this lady from Hong Kong. She used to be an organizer, and she used to give us sleeping tablets. It's a random story, but it's a funny story.
Okay.
She would give us sleeping tablets, and like when you jet lag and all of that, and they really worked well, and you weren't groggy. There was little blue tablets, excellent. So so I tell her, oh, she coming to Blackpool. I tell her, oh, if you can bring these tablets again, they were really good. So the night before we retire, she comes, she brings me the tablets, and I'm thinking, should I take them? But they are not the blue tablets. She says, oh, these are the tablets I'm getting from Slavik and Karina usually. So they're not the usual ones you use. So, but they are really very good. I said, okay. So I'm lying in bed, like all your mind is going, you don't know what to do. And I'm thinking, oh, should I take this? I really could do with a good night's sleep, right? You want to do that. But somehow, some wisdom of mine said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna be what is. I want to be sharp. I want to be me. I don't want to be trying to. I don't know this anyway. I didn't take it. So fast forward. I'm gonna finish that story first.
Right.
So we retire. The next week we go to Kazakhstan, and we have this show, and I take this tablet. I'm so glad I didn't take it the night before. My muscles didn't work.
Really?
And Brian didn't take these tablets. He had them too, but he didn't. He wasn't. It was a bizarre time stretch. We danced this show, and I couldn't engage my muscles. I couldn't speed up. I couldn't slow down. It was like Brian pushed me, and I was floating about, and he was so angry. During the dance, he was like, "Move!" I said, "I can't. I don't know what to do." It was like there were muscle relaxant in them. So imagine I had to take it the night
God.
before. What a lucky stroke that I didn't take it. And it was such a terrible feeling. And it was like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't do it the night before the British. But then we retired that the week before, of course, in the British. And we told our teachers like Lorraine and Peter Maxwell knew, of course, that Lena and Colin, Hans, of course. And Lorraine came into the change room, but we hadn't, I mean, I guess people know it well, but we haven't made it official. She comes in and she's in tears. We haven't done the first round yet, and then she's asking, and people are watching, and she said, did you get my roses? And no, we didn't get them. Oh, now she's crying. We didn't get the flowers this morning. I'm like, so Hans had to take her out because we're still having to try to do a 5-round event, right? So that was emotional. And then we decided to throw a party that night. So before the final, we had written invitations to sort of, because Brian's mum was there and sister, my family, but friends, dancing friends. So Hans was going around and giving all these people these invitations.
Right.
And they opened it up, and you could see, like, you're on the corner, we're always on the right hand side, we look at stage left, we were standing there ready to go in the final. Now you can see everybody's opening and they're looking at us. And we're like, it's like you can feel the energy. It's like, whatever. And then it was just, I remember the jive. I was just crying. I was just finished. It was such I was happy to retire, and I was happy Brian had given me these 2 years, but I was happy to retire, but it was such an emotional night, and day to uphold and the different energies, your own energies, his energies, but then the people, you know, feeling
it was amazing. It was amazing. I was at, as you're looking at the stage, I was on that side at the back, right? Because in those days Blackpool was busy.
I know. It was.
We're talking about that. Blackpool was busy, so there was no. I couldn't get a seat. I couldn't get a seat, of course. So I'm stood on the radiator, watching, and it was phenomenal energy. I'm so glad that I was there. Yeah, it was because I don't think you can't, as a spectator, you can't actually make people appreciate what that felt like to be. I'm sure it was quite different for you doing it, but as a spectator, that the energy in the room and the love actually was tremendous. I still cannot watch that dance. Really? Or the jive, or the
we did Rumba. We did the honor dance,
the honor dance. Sorry,
it was the retirement. I can't watch the comp. I can see clips of it, and I remember we did a show somewhere and they played it. I have to walk away. It's so emotional for me still today. It's beautiful. I have a good memory of the day, but somehow it was such a I still feel odd, and I just can't. Brings me back sort of. It was a nice retirement. I'm happy we've done it that way.
How long did you do shows for afterwards? How long were you active
just
after?
About a year.
Okay.
The following, not that August, the following August was our last Superstars. And then we did, I think the Superstars had then the idea to bring some retired people back. We did that once. And we did one time the Legends, that was sort of 2 years after retired. But Brian and I had an agreement on that, and I was okay with, I mean, I wanted that too. I was never, I loved competing. I was never the show. I mean, I know I love the costumes and stuff, but it's never been my thing, shows. And Fanny, Brian as well. We were both more competitive. So for me, it was also, I knew we were not going to put so much practice in and all of that. And I just it didn't feel nice to keep dancing when the body isn't quite up to scratch, if you like, and all of that. So we wanted to stop, and it was fine. What did,
you said earlier, I mean, I know a lot of people struggle with retirement, don't they? Because perhaps it's not quite the same for you, having not danced for such a long time, you know, 17 years. But when you stop, suddenly there's a massive hole in your life, isn't there? So what have you done to, I mean, teaching, of course, I'm sure you put all your energies into teaching and lecturing and that sort of thing. But how did you cope with that? Because I know it's difficult. And suddenly the comps are taken away.
Yeah, it was really, I was, for one, I was relieved because I think I was my own worst critic. The pressure I have put on myself, nobody had, I mean, really nobody had to put any pressure on. I put all the pressure on myself. So there was a relief in that way as well. And I remember being in Blackpool the following year and really worried, how would I feel? You know, the new champion will be there and all of this. And I was actually really feeling relieved. So that was a nice feeling. I remember that, and I stopped exercising. I stopped everything. I was just like, oh, the upkeep, you know, it was just such a hard upkeep for such little improvements at that stage. You know, I was like so happy not to have to go in the evening to the assembly to practice, not to do this. So that was that. So I was enjoying that. But then it got me propelled into I thought, I'm a 9 times professional Latin world champion, everything will be easy. I will do this now. I will get married as well. Everything will be fine. I'll do this and I'll do that. And by no means I want to make it as a big criticism or anything like that. But I realized suddenly, because of course after the years of shows now, we were doing different things. Maybe Brian would travel alone, I would travel alone, whatever. So there was sort of a separation. And suddenly I realized, gosh, I have to start from scratch. My titles didn't mean that much as such. And I think it's something to do with a woman in the business.
Right.
So I felt a little bit like, oh my God, I have to put my sleeves up again and dig in. And sort of invitations would come in, but it was, at the very early stage, it was more like, well, Brian would get it. Right. Brian can't do it, and they would ask Hans. And then Hans can't do it, and I would get it. And then I would do it, type of thing. I would never say no, really, as such. So it felt really scary for me because I was a single woman in dancing. So it felt really scary for me to kind of, and the titles, I mean, I know I'm sure I have a headway on some others, but it felt really like I have to now prove myself all over again. So actually, I was just working. I was putting my sleeves up, I was digging in, I was doing all things I could do to establish myself, to prove myself that I could teach, that I wasn't just a 9 times world champion. I can teach, I'm a good teacher, so these kind of things. So I had to build up a second career.
Right.
So I wasn't just leaning back and enjoying the fruits of my labor of all these years. I had to work again. And that got me a little bit in a rat race. And I think I don't know if even can say that, and I don't mean it disrespectful by any means, but COVID really gave me a second chance to come off that wheel a little bit, because I felt so in that rat race and so driven by I need to do this and I need to keep this, where COVID showed a little bit, you're gonna be all right no matter what, kind of everything was taken away, and that was a good learning curve for me, and put maybe more. I've never been very fearful, but I think I lost all fear and inhibitions, and I'm sort of more driven also about what I feel is right, and I'm not going to accept this. So I came out of COVID more feisty.
Right. More feisty. Is that even possible?
Yes. Feisty than I had been.
Yeah.
And that's why, of course, my involvement with, I'm going to say it now, WDO and all of that has sort of propelled me further, or gave me more strength to really go for it. Because before that, I was sort of like, I was so tired of pushing and fighting, because it was my dance career was constantly, I was so hard on myself. Then retirement, I still kept doing. Then was another thing. But after COVID, I was like, yeah, no, this is a must. I must do this. This is not right what's going on. I put my energy in there, and I'm very happy for it.
Do you think that you've pushed yourself down that route significantly because you are a single lady? Do you think that that's driven you a bit more because you're on your own? No, I don't think so. I think many things happen, and being comfortable, you sort of, that's not too bad, you can take that, or you don't put so much focus on it. But when you then really unveil more and more and more, and you realize this is just so not right, this is not something I can continue to support, this is not something I can put my name down to it, and it's not I think it would have been, it wasn't because of my status as being a single woman in dancing. It was more, something has to be done. And thankfully to the founders who have created WDO, they took that on and worked so hard, and we are hoping to help them to make it, Do you think you'd have been as driven with that though if you had been married and with a family, that sort of thing? That's what I'm trying to get at. I know, I'm getting it. Yeah. I don't think I've ever wanted a family. Right, okay. So I've never was really envisioning myself with children as such. I mean, had I been in a relationship and that would have been important, I can see there is something I would maybe, but for me as a person, not. So I feel very, no, I don't think it would have made a change. No, I don't think so. I think at the cause, I can't see myself also retire in that way. I would like to remain in the business. I think it's such a passion, such a calling for me, that I would like it to be
healthier, in a better world, that the couples have more chances. Yeah.
Mhm.
But of course, we will never know. I didn't have a family,
No,
so I don't
you
know.
didn't.
I might get married, so you don't know
Yeah.
what happens. But I can't see.
You
that.
might. So that's on the cards, is it?
No.
There's a current guy. He's 18 months in, so it's not quite 2 years
No.
yet. So he's got chances.
Hey, there's always a chance.
There's
for
always a
everything,
chance.
isn't it?
Yeah. Are you disappointed though that's turned out in that way? That you get lonely? Do you get
No.
you happy in your own skin and
Yeah.
on your own and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel, no, I'm not disappointed. I feel very blessed with everything, and I feel so far everything in my life has turned out at the right moment.
Mhm.
And I'm realizing, like, you know, when I retired, and then I thought, oh, now it's going to be the time. I don't think I was ready.
Right.
I think it would have failed. So
Mhm.
I think I'm much more, I'm a little, I guess, a late bloomer in many things, in the sense of I
Mhm.
started dancing with 17. So things
Yeah.
are not, they come to me in the right moment, and I feel much happier in my own skin. And I think it wouldn't have worked, whatever I would have
Right.
done then. So no.
Okay.
And I'm not lonely. I have great friends. I have good family, and I actually enjoy my own company as
Yeah.
well. So that's a good.
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, because if you don't like to spend time on your own in a hotel
Yeah,
room,
yeah.
then yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I know there's many people in this business that, many people in life, isn't there, that just jump from relationship to relationship
Yeah.
because they don't like themselves.
No, and
they
I
have
think
to be around other people.
yeah, and I think maybe with age as well a little bit. You know, I'm not desperate, and I'm not desperate to make. There is certain things I won't cave in anymore. You know, like you're in that age, and it's like, no, that's not cool. I'm not gonna take that. You know.
Yeah.
So you are a little bit clearer of what you want and all of that. So, but I'm not questioning it, because it's no good to go back. I can't go back and change it, is it?
No, true.
So I'm looking forward.
So you're doing quite a lot of committee work at the moment, aren't you? You're as you were just alluding
Yeah.
to, you're very passionate about making things better for the future.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with it to start? What's wrong at the moment then? What do you think? I mean, I know what's wrong. I know what's wrong, but what do you think's the problem then? Is it ego mostly?
I
Is
think
it
the
power?
problem is that I think I'm part of the problem.
Right.
Because I think my inactivity or my reluctance early on, or people like me, let's say, who have gone along with individuals or have not gone against with individuals for over a long period of time, have brought us to this situation where it's gotten out of hand. I think earlier on we should have reacted, but we didn't.
Do you think that's because many of you were so caught up in your own personal journeys?
Yes,
in
absolutely.
your dancing journey. So then, of course, you think, well, I haven't got time for that. I've got to go and practice now. I've got a comp next week.
Absolutely, and also, it's like you were in this rat race. You're going around and doing it, and I think things weren't right when we were competing. But we made it. We won the world. We do this. So you kind of constantly on something to do that you not see the whole picture, maybe even don't want to see the whole picture,
Yeah.
not aware of all the ins and outs all the time,
Right.
because they're sort of under the surface. And I think what happened with that was that suddenly I think these people gotten more and more ballsy, and they were going more to the forefront and more out there, and suddenly you're going, hang on, I didn't know this, I didn't see this, I didn't do this, and suddenly it gotten more and more, wow, that's really not good. So the more awareness about it, and you saw more the things. And then I think the drop in the ocean was really when the competitors commission was dissolved and Arunas was attacked. I mean, it was ridiculous. He was an active competitor, and the courage him and Katusha had at the time in these meetings and all of that, and this was just unbelievable. It's like, if we go against our own couples, what are we? I mean, who are we? And this kind of, I think the awareness just gotten more, because they were, I think, more ballsy about it and gotten more to the foreground and took more liberties, and suddenly it was like, no, that's enough. And that's how then I think I woken up for myself. I can only speak for myself, really. And then you go into it more, and then you it's like an orange, you peel and then you another layer, and you go, wow.
So we'll keep talking for a sec.
Yeah.
So, obviously the issue is that it's exploitation, isn't it? People see a weakness, and they see that no one is challenging them, so they just decide to, okay, well, if no one's challenging me, I'll push it a bit further and a bit further and a bit further, and
I
eventually
think that's the truth
you
of
get
it, yeah.
stuck with tyranny.
Yeah.
And they just decide to do what they want.
Dictatorship.
And they do what they want when they want,
Yeah.
for their own means and their own benefit.
But I am aware of my own, I take responsibility of my own part in this becoming like that. Because I let it happen too. I was
Yeah.
part of the problem.
Right.
And now I'd like to be part of the solution.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
where I see it from. I don't see, I see it's like, yeah, they try and we let them get away with it. So they try more and we let them get away with more
Yeah.
till we say no. So we have to also look at our own responsibility in this development. But likewise, I believe you have a chance and you can set it right. And hopefully we can set it right and hopefully we can make it better. You know, and put the right moves in place and put the right structures in place. People are afraid. I get that too. So I don't, the criticism I often get is like, you tell people you can't dance the British and you can't go there. I have not said to one couple you can't. And couples have actually asked me, can you not tell me should I go? And I said, I can't.
Yeah.
I am not this type of people. I need you to make your own decision because I'm also not taking your consequences. I'm going to lead by example. I'm not going. I can tell you I'm not going. But these are my reasons. My career is over.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
but you need to make sure that you will do it out of your reasons. Don't do it for me or for that because you do it because you believe it's right or no, and you can't support that. And I think that's a really empowering thing. But a lot of people are fearful. And a lot of people at this moment in time actually see it as an opportunity. Oh, we can play both sides.
Well, yeah. Again, yeah, it's so frustrating because those are the people that are then, when they retire, going to turn into the people that have been ruling it for the last 15, 20 years and created the tyranny we've got, because they're going to see chinks in the armour of other people and think, well, this is an opportunity for me to better myself.
Yeah.
Not thinking of the consequences, not thinking of the long-term problems with that, which it's so infuriating. So infuriating.
I think, I think that I think we all have to make money and we all take opportunities. Why not? That's normal, right?
Yeah.
That's what life is about. We have to create our life. We have to create our wealth, our health, and opportunities, and take opportunities as they are. Great. Not on the back of others.
No.
That's what my philosophy is in competing. So I'd like them all to be fabulous. I don't want them to be terrible or crap. I'd like them to be all fabulous, and I still win. Means I'm better.
Yeah.
So I don't want to win if a bunch of, no, they all should be fabulous.
They should.
And that's the same thing. We all should be allowed to make a living. We all should be allowed to work for the greater good and do this and that and the other. But in the end of the day, it can't be that we can't have a voice and we can't, it should be like that and we just little marionettes and we just how do you say?
Well, just like little puppets.
Correct.
Going along, doing the same, yeah.
Like just working for someone else and not being part of the decision making and just having to shut up and do it anyways. It's like, sorry, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where, but I'm aware of, as I said again, I'm aware of my own contribution to this system, but the lack of not having maybe done something earlier when, yeah.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
I
Of course.
I know.
It's a wonderful thing, and
Yeah.
we've all done things that we wish we hadn't, and that sort of thing.
Or had,
Yeah.
for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very disappointing.
Yeah.
So where does it go from here then? How do we change these things? What's the end game?
I think the end game is very difficult to say. What's the end game? I think the end game, or my hope for the future is that we get to a place where we have equal opportunities for everybody, and that we are in a subjective world. I understand that. We are in dancing. It's like everything is your opinion. You can always cover it. Oh, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. I understand, but at least to create a safe environment for every individual, for the little guy from Timbuktu to have a chance. You know, I came from Germany with Sandro Cavallini. I didn't make the 12 at the British. I made the final at the international and became 4th.
Right.
This doesn't happen nowadays anymore.
No.
You know what I mean?
Really, yeah.
It's like it doesn't happen that suddenly you can win being 5th.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore, and I'm not saying it is because it just seems so planned, everything, and there's no real opportunity actually. What about if I had a great night tonight, or at least take it down, or whatever? These opportunities, these hopes, that if you're good, you'll get it.
Yeah.
If you do something good, you get it back. You know, this is the environment I would like to create.
Is that not down to judges though?
Yeah, sure.
Judging fairly and not being corruptible.
Absolutely.
And
in a system as well where rules are in place. It's not every year the world is at the same place with maybe 3 of the 4 judges, the same judges.
Yeah.
So this creates, of course, repetition. This creates this doesn't create an opportunity. So these are the key elements, that it's also that, for example, we all have a voice. I've gone to meetings to the AGM at the British as a competitor every year, and then after that as well for almost 20 years.
Right.
And sometimes it was not even a meeting, it was a lecture.
Yeah.
I remember one time we were sitting there and they were, wasn't that a great meeting? It was only 47 minutes. I said, I wasn't at the meeting. I said, no, you were there, I saw you. No, I said, I wasn't at the meeting. I said, I was lectured at for 47 minutes. I wasn't able, I didn't dare say anything. I was scared because straight away if somebody says they were put in their place, there's no exchange, there's no possibility of freedom to say, actually, can I ask this? I don't think that's quite right. That we can ask a hard question, get an answer, and all of that. And that's what I think is, so I'm hoping to create a future of where we can let people live and choose. They want to go there for lessons, great. They want to go there for lessons, that's also great. And we can be in a place where we fairly, in the best circumstances for the couples, rotating competitions, world championships in different places, and judge them there and get to the result. And it's tough, I know.
The trouble is not enough. The problem is judges or professionals, retired professionals, are still competing against other retired professionals, aren't they?
Wait, what do you mean with that?
Well, so a competitor's life doesn't stop on the dance floor.
Oh, I see.
Because once they've retired from competing, they still then want to be seen as the best. They still want to compete with their previous competitors because they want to be seen judging these events. They want to be seen teaching these couples, chasing the work as well.
Right.
And so sometimes they feel obliged to do certain things to ensure they get that work, and get those positions, get those couples.
I think,
and those people are going to be really difficult to convince to change.
Yeah, and I think it's always when you have to lose something, that's when you make maybe not the purest of decisions. So maybe in that way I'm more fortunate that I can make maybe more hardcore decisions and maybe not do things I don't want to do because I don't think it's right, and don't have to do it because I can stick my neck out and say I'm not doing that because I might suffer, but the suffering isn't too great for me to not live, if you know what I mean, for a better word. And I think that is where it's always when you have something to lose, how much you've got to lose, that's when maybe the decision making is slightly more tinted and you look at it differently. Emotional as well. Many things are emotional. Many people have relationships with people. They don't want to change, although they don't believe what's right, what they do, but we have a personal relationship. Or if we talk about the British, I mean, I won 7 times. I understand the magic. I would like the couples to experience that magic. I'm not against it. I'm not for how it's handled at the moment, how it's been guided in a direction.
You know yourself, though, that magic is not the same anymore.
No,
that magic
of course
is not the same.
I understand
it's
that.
just what's the word? I can't think of the word now, but it's just it's just become another competition held in a beautiful ballroom.
Sure.
It doesn't have, because the ballroom always made it extra magical, and the orchestra and all that, but it was the atmosphere that was created in there, because everyone that was there believed that it was the best comp to go to, because they genuinely believed that it was the fairest. Genuinely believed that.
Do you know what? We came from Germany,
and it doesn't have that anymore.
It was 11 British judges.
Right.
And I never thought it was crooked. Do you know what? I was German. I mean, it was like, I was like, don't tell me. But it was like, yeah, that's all right. I really felt I was being treated fairly. I never thought of it not being like that, and that unfortunately is. And it was interesting when you then speak to the couples who then decided not to go. They feel more strong about this. I feel I have more of a sentiment and holding on to a memory. They don't have. They see it more clearly and maybe more realistically.
And interestingly, the English couples, majority of the English couples still support it.
Yeah, sure.
As well, actually.
Because it's part of their DNA.
Yeah.
It's difficult to, this is difficult things, because you're holding on to a dream, or you're holding on to a memory or a hope. But you see, I think the problem is you doing that, you also upholding what is going to stop it being what it was or what it can be. And therefore you're not part of the solution, you're part of keeping it status quo at that.
Yes.
And therefore I think the hard choice is that you are making a decision or making a change to help it rebuild and being something where it can be. And that's tough. And that's heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, because many couples will think, well, I've only got 2 years left.
Sure,
and I don't want to miss out on dancing at Blackpool again, or being part of these events. And unfortunately, then by supporting it, it then perpetuates the problem, doesn't it? Because then people think, oh, well, that couple's doing it, so I'll go.
Yeah.
And it just keeps, nothing changes.
That's right.
So unfortunately, there's strength in numbers. So if everyone said, no, we're not putting up with this, we're not going to go, they'd have to make some changes. One of the things I do think is a problem, though, is that I'm not so sure the majority of the dancers quite understand what the problem is.
No. And a lot of the things we have found out, we have not been able to share as such, because it's a lot of, I think that is a problem. And I think dancers maybe don't want to see it as well, it's too hard maybe to face it and all of that. So you're absolutely right. I think the information and putting it out there more would be a better way for everybody to see what it really is happening and what other
But then it's difficult
elements.
Because you've got to have absolutely hard evidence that is the truth, that's what's happened. Because a lot of things we hear about are like, this happened, but where's your proof? Well, I haven't really got any proof. But this, we know this happened. And it's very difficult because you can't then say anything, and then people don't believe you necessarily because, well, you've got any proof. You can't prove it.
Well, we have created we have accumulated, I think, about 24 points.
Right.
Of what we really think is wrong with the British.
Okay, only 24.
Only 24.
Yeah.
And and we have evidence for that, but it's as you say, it's also not too, how do you say, it's people who should want to know it. They should ask. They should find out and come to you and say, hey, I heard you have this information, can you not share it? I don't want to go, you should know this, because I don't want to bully people in that sense.
But a lot of dancers don't have the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel that they are in a position to do that. They see the likes of you, even lowly me, they see me and think, oh, I can't ask them sort of questions. I can't ask an organiser that.
Absolutely.
I can't ask a judge that. But honestly, we're all human beings, and we all want something. We all want it to be better.
Absolutely.
So they should not be afraid.
No,
and this is the trouble.
Not.
So many of them are afraid because they're being made to feel afraid. Like many coaches will tell their students, "Don't do that competition. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't go to that person." And controlling them with fear. And
well, that's how you keep them in line, isn't it?
Exactly.
Fear is a powerful thing, because they want a career and they feel, oh, I don't do that, I don't get that. But coming back, like you say, people go back and like suddenly, let's say some couples have really great results at the British, and they're disappointed when they come to the international. And I'm like, because not everybody danced, so of course your result is different.
Yeah, but it should be different.
No, I know, but it's also because some couples didn't dance, so therefore...
Well, yes, of course. I see what you mean. Yes,
that's
yes,
what
yes,
I mean.
yes.
And my point about it is like, my feeling was always, like I said, I wanted everybody to be at their best, and I would like everybody to dance. Only then are you the true champion. Really.
Yeah, because actually, how do we know how good some of these WDSF couples are?
Sure.
Because some of them could be awesome.
Yeah.
Get them all in a room, can dance against
Absolutely.
these WDC and WDO dancers.
Yeah.
And then let's see who's the real champion. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
To unify everything again. I mean, that all came about because of ego.
Yeah.
As well, in power and control.
I think there is though also a not a mentally, how do you call it, sort of a more. The split was not only through that, but it was also what do you call it when you a different vision of where dancing is going.
Oh, vision.
No, I'm looking for a particular word.
Oh yeah.
But basically, you know.
What is it in German?
Don't know it either. That wouldn't help you. But it's like, for example, you know, the Olympic dream and all of that. That was never my dream either. I don't think dancing should be perceived in that way or done in that way.
Well, I'm quite strong. Yeah, I believe we're in arts. You see.
Exactly.
And
I think it should be in beautiful ballrooms.
Yes, yes.
And with live music would be great.
Yeah.
So the philosophy, almost like the direction of where they're going to take it, wasn't what I thought it was right. So that the WDSF wanted to be a sport. They wanted to go to the World Games. They want to go to Olympics. And I know it's massive amount of money they get.
Yeah,
I get the financial rebate is great, but I don't think that's where I believe dancing should go.
It doesn't. The thing is, though, that's a bit of a not. I mean, you can have lots of money. You can call yourself a sport.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to act like a sportsman or perform in a gymnasium like a gymnast.
Yeah.
You can still have beauty and art and have art in your dancing and musicality. You don't have to make it like gymnastics.
No.
Do you?
No, sure, but I think
to.
everything develops in different directions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you take that away and. Anyway, so that was for me a little bit ideology. That's what it
There
came.
you go.
There you go.
Well,
it
we
came
got there in
to
the end,
me.
didn't we?
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you go down here, yeah.
So I want to talk about something other than dancing for a minute.
Go on.
So I know in recent times you've changed your outlook on your health, haven't you? So was that something you decided to do because you reached a certain point in your life, or have you always been interested in nutrition and health and looking after yourself? Or did you get to a point where you thought, Jesus, I can't fit into these jeans anymore, I need to do something?
So, actually, I used to have a really good relationship with food. And I used to have a really great metabolism. But then, you know, you go into dancing and things happen, and I got messed up. And in the end, it was like really difficult, and I got yo-yo dieting big and small.
What do you mean you got messed up?
Well, it was sort of, you know, you kind of, in the olden days, fitness wasn't yet such a thing, you know?
Yeah.
Sort of, you had to look good and you were trim, but it wasn't like overly buff, you know? You weren't going to have the six-pack and all of that. And suddenly things changed, and suddenly it was like, oh, you shouldn't be eating that, and you do eat too much, and you do this. And I was like, really? But I wasn't big. It just got a thing. And then I got a thing in my head, and then I started to take diet tablets and to try to do slimmer and this and that, and maybe eat cornflakes for 2 weeks and all of this, up and down like that.
Right, yeah. As a competitor or
as a competitor.
As a competitor, right.
I have then also had a thyroid problem whilst I was dancing. That also contributed to it. And terrible eczema and all of this, and gain weight through that, and then you struggle all your life, up and down, up and down. So you do that, and then you retire, and you're on this bandwagon all the time. So I'm now also, I'm also still dieting, because then you don't dance, so you get bigger.
Yeah.
And then I took sort of, oh no, I'm gonna do this. 1 month no pasta. Oh, 2 months no alcohol. Oh, this and that. So constantly this. But you lose the weight and then you gain it and a little more. So it was 2018, and it came to Easter, and I'm Catholic and Brian is Catholic, so we do fasting for Easter. He says, so what are we gonna give up this year? What are you gonna give up? And I was sitting down and thinking, I'm gonna give up something food-wise, clearly, because I need to lose weight.
Yeah.
So it defeats the object completely of why you fast, right? But anyway, and I got really sad. And I said, I love to eat, I love a good relationship with food and with everything, and I don't want to I don't want to be in this system where I'm constantly depriving myself of it. I want to be healthy, I want to be strong, and how I can find something which is going to allow me to do that. And then I found intermittent fasting. I've researched and I thought, okay, what is going to give me the allowance to eat what I want when I want it, type of thing. So I'm doing not a hardcore intermittent fasting, meaning I eat at 12 at night if I want to.
Right.
But I do this 14 hours every day where I don't eat for 14 hours.
Okay.
And that kind of propelled me, and I feel so much better about myself. I think my body has recovered. I have a good metabolism again. The whole thing changed. I really don't deprive myself anything on any day. If I want to have a chocolate, I have it. But this kind of allowance, so mentally I made a huge shift, and physically also, because I don't really think about weight. I don't weigh myself really. I just, oh yeah, it's okay, it's like this. And this is the same attitude I have with exercise now. I don't feel it a burden. I feel it's something I want to do. I want to have a, I don't want to be young because I'm not young as such, but I want to remain youthful, and I want to have a spring, and I want to, and I want to be able to keep at my, in a better level of myself, a healthier level for longer.
Yeah. Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think it is interesting actually, because I talked to a fair few people about this, because we've done something similar as well.
Right, yeah,
we're
you
working
said
quite
that to
hard
me,
on this. And more and more people now all of a sudden seem to be becoming more aware of themselves and think, actually, you know what, I need to look after myself.
Yeah.
Because the body doesn't work if you don't look after it.
Absolutely.
Your car's not going to work if you don't put oil in it or water in it. It just doesn't work. And too many people just think, oh, it's okay. It's all right. I'll do it. I'll start a diet next week or whatever.
Exactly.
But again, diets don't work.
No.
You know, you have to, it's a lifestyle change.
Exactly.
You've got to change everything.
Exactly. And to me, it's no bother, and I'm trying to share with people. Not many people are they're clicking on it because, oh, I have to have my breakfast, or I have to have it at 7. I don't have to have it at 7.
This is the thing. People say, oh, I have to do that. Oh, I can't give up milk.
Yeah.
I can't give up yogurts.
Yeah.
I have to have my chocolate.
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't, actually.
No.
You're programmed to do that, but
Exactly.
you can reprogram yourself.
Absolutely.
And you'll feel better for it.
For me, this has made a massive change. And then combined, this was just before COVID, and then also in COVID, the whole thing has helped me to come out in a much more healthy, much more put together way. And I have no, my relationship with food or with this whole diet thing and aesthetic is in a way better place than when I danced.
Yeah, it's
and
interesting.
when I retired.
I'm the same as well. I'm now fitter and stronger and actually lighter than when I competed.
I'm not lighter because I was
a bit too chunky.
Thin when I danced. Looking back, I think I was thin.
Right.
At the time when I was dancing, I thought I was always fat.
Yeah, but then women do, don't you? You women do all the time. All the time. Oh, look at the size of me. You're like the size of my leg. You know, you're not fat in the slightest. But that comes back to dancing being so subjective, though, doesn't it? Because
and aesthetic. It's all about aesthetics, isn't
it? You're constantly being judged on how you look.
Absolutely.
And
this is that's a really issue. So, for example, like when I speak, let's say, a lot of people, they would come, you have to talk to this girl because she's really fat. I find that really difficult. I never say you're going to lose 5 kilos. Because I find it difficult because I remember this was done to me, not from teachers, but this was done to me. And it has given me a terrible journey for over 25 years. I don't want to be part of that for someone else. So I'm trying often to say, I think we have to kind of work out a little bit more that our bodies look stronger and better for what we're going to do, that we are able to maintain that level of quality and dance and see maybe so I'm trying to inspire rather than to say, you are really...
Basically, you're doing the same thing, but just doing it in a nice way.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
Obviously, if you've got rolls of skin hanging over your trousers,
it's not healthy.
It's not healthy, but also it doesn't look any good.
No, sure.
And you're not going to perform very well.
No,
are you?
Correct.
So it's imperative that you sort that out if you want to be a competitor.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you don't worry about it.
Exactly.
It's up to you.
I think there's something about you telling the truth. I'm all for the truth. I would never lie. As in, I would say it, but I think it's the way you say it makes the difference.
Yeah.
The way you say it is like with kindness and a solution.
Well, it's all well and good. So you're a fatty.
Yeah.
Lose some weight. Well, okay then.
Yeah.
How? What am I supposed to do then? Tell me what to do.
Yeah. It's a very. I think the psychological damage we can give to dancers, full stop. You were really shit. I mean, how many times have you heard that, you know?
Well, I never have actually. No one ever said that to me.
Oh, you're lucky then. No, nobody said. My teachers weren't there like this. I was very lucky, but I hear it. My language is really foul. I have to apologize. Sorry.
You said 2 swear words?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's it?
That's it.
Nothing.
But it's not,
Don't worry.
No, it's good.
I don't want to bleep anything. I mean, I quite like it. I want to feel the passion, the real you.
The
I just
real
want
me,
to feel the real words.
But I really think it's about how you can convey that you are unhappy with the level or standard of dancing, which is good. You should. Mm-hmm. This was really not up to scratch, whatever. But also offer a solution and do it with such a way. The fear. I think so many operate on fear-based infusions. Yeah. Which then it's almost like the battered wife syndrome. You then go back for more because you feel you cannot do it without them because they will tell you.
Exactly right.
And it's like it seems to work. So it's like
I've said this in a few other podcasts that there's an awful lot of teachers in our business that have no redeemable quality at all because they don't know anything actually. Yeah. They don't know anything, and all they do is they put people down to make themselves feel better.
Absolutely.
Because they can't handle the fact that they're no longer a competitor and look as good as the person in front of them.
I think the responsibility we have as teachers is huge, or as judges actually. It's like, you know, like children, you when you teach children, these are formative years. Yeah. Even like when you give them technique, the bones. Sometimes I watch dancing, I want to cry. When you see the little girls or little boys dance and the technique they've been given, they're smashing their bones about, you're thinking, these bones are growing. Yeah. You're going to have problems. Mm-hmm. Technique isn't like that, you know? Sort of there is this kind of responsibility we fail to see because the success, of course, and the parents are part of it too. Yeah, do that. We want them to win in all of this. Yeah. But in the end of the day, it really is such a, you can leave someone really damaged, physically, mentally, in many ways, you know, and I think
so many are. Yeah. And there's very little help in what we do as well for mental health. Actually, we're trying to help. We're trying to do that now, actually, though. I mean, Kelly's done some work with that as well.
That's great.
So we're going to be offering that for people because so many people are scarred. She's scarred. Absolutely. We're all scarred in our own little way.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like I've come out of it relatively unscathed, but I know other people have had terrible times. I mean, one of my ex-partners, they had a comment given to them about weight, and it turned them bulimic. Yeah. And they live with that forever.
I was on the verge of anorexia at one moment in my dancing. I was so skinny. I remember I was eating only once a day. I went to the gym to exercise, and I looked in the mirror and I looked gaunt. I looked terrible. And I went on the scales, and I'm 167 tall centimeters. I weighed 47 kilos. I went to McDonald's and got myself 2 cheeseburgers. I thought that isn't right. Yeah. And that was the point I was messed up. I got myself caught before I was going to turn that way, but I was going in that direction. Yeah. But man, was I messed up after that.
And how many other dancers are? I mean, so many, absolutely. I'm sure. Even now, you know, there's lots of resources now. Back in those days,
we didn't have.
You didn't have the resources, did you? You didn't have the internet to go and look up stuff. Yeah. But I'm sure there's still many now that have that same sort of problem. Yeah. I think I've gone the wrong way, haven't I?
No, this is right.
Oh, I've gone wrong.
Yeah, you're the right way. Now you've seen all of Wimbledon. How do you feel?
Well, it's beautiful.
Good neighbourhood.
Do you hang out on the common much?
I do. I do. COVID has given me that too. I walk a lot to the village now because it's not that far actually. I mean, I live here now 18 years. Right. I think the first 14 I was not even walking once into the village. So sort of since COVID, and I still keep that up. I love on a Sunday. I like to walk in. Yeah. And I meet friends for dinner and do things, and it's a very good vibe. It's a really a good community, and it's a beautiful place to live. I mean, I love it here. Still not for everybody's cup of tea. I appreciate that, but it's certainly mine. So yeah, very lucky to be here.
Yeah, and so you prefer here? You don't see yourself going back to Germany then?
No, I don't see myself going back to Germany as such. I don't feel. My parents don't live in Germany. I have a very small family. I actually really love living in England, in Britain. Really? I think one of the charms England has for me is obviously. I mean, we don't have to discuss that. That's clear.
No, of course.
But it's that multicultural acceptance, living side by side with such a traditional values. I absolutely embraced it and loved that. So I could walk around with green hair and the little granny
you
would
should
not
try
flinch
that.
an
I think you
eyelid.
should do
Yeah,
that.
I should.
I think you should do that,
Where
yeah.
in Germany they would go, why on earth would you color your hair green?
Really?
And everybody
Very
would say
judgmental,
that.
are they?
No. Do you
No?
think so? Do you think I'm judgmental?
I've not spent much time in Germany.
Oh, what do you mean? We had some good times on boats and all of
Well,
that.
I wasn't gonna bring that up.
But now
actually.
that I have.
Now that you've brought that up about multicultural Britain, and even though the fact that we obviously had Brexit and everything, which you were against, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
Were you for?
I'm not going to discuss it.
Oh, you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was against, yeah.
I'm for every country being sovereign and having their own,
Sure.
being ruled and governed by themselves. Every country.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because every country's different. So I think if you've got a massive amount of countries, I can't off the top of my head think how many countries are in the European Union, all being kind of centrally governed to a degree, I don't think that's right. I think Germany should be, governing itself completely, utterly. Have no one else should have influence on Germany.
But I don't think really, I mean, we can discuss politics, but let's be truthful.
Well,
Brexit.
we're almost out of time now. Perfect.
Yeah, I know,
We've done this
perfect.
perfect timing.
But Brexit hasn't, I mean, reality is not great.
Well, it's like many things, isn't it? How do we know it would be any different?
Sure. I think
Unfortunately.
that is true, actually.
Yeah, we don't
That
know,
is
do we?
true. I think
We
that
don't
is,
know.
that I take on board.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect ending,
It's
actually.
perfect
isn't
ending. It's
it?
very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much
It's
being a driver
really-
in my car,
Yes,
finally.
yes.
And a few little problems.
I
a few
feel
little
very
gremlins.
honoured that you have taken me on and
Really?
letting me talk for, because
Well, you spoke for ages.
I know, I spoke for over an hour, really.
Good.
Hillary should have been here. She would have told me off a few times,
God.
right? A
If
few
Hillary
things.
was in the car, she...
So actually, just for the viewers here, I have a great relationship with you and with your students.
Yeah.
I don't see them often. I see them at Commerce, but I really enjoy hanging out when we have a chance and all of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And you're a great guy, and I think you are.
Thank you very much.
You are honest and truthful. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and what you see, you get. And I think that's really refreshing in a world where we try to pretend
you.
often. So
Thank you.
for doing that as well. It's interesting, and thank you for having me.
Well, let's hope people enjoy watching it.
Oh gosh, that's a whole nother
Let's hope this
series.
works.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Carl.
Great.